We have here verse 24 of the 12th chapter, Gospel of John. Jesus has been approached by Philip and by Andrew concerning some Greeks that have wanted to converse with Jesus, and Jesus gives what appears to be a somewhat unrelated answer, but of course it is very much related by the time we reach the end of it. Jesus says that the hour had come in which he must be glorified, and that's going to lead us to the conversation about the expanse of the significance of the glorifying of Christ, which is certainly going to extend beyond the Jewish world to people such as these Greeks who are approaching Jesus at this point. But Jesus gives more detail now using this interesting metaphor. Amen, amen. Of course, this is how Jesus adds incredible weight to what he's about to say. And so we have this affirmation of the importance of this, and then lego, from lego, I say, first person singular, present active indicative. So truly I say, humen, the indirect object, it's the dative plural of the second person pronoun. So I say to you, Ian. We'll take the subjunctive, typically, and that's what we're going to find a little later in the text here. So, Ian may, literally, if not, typically translated unless, and that's the sense here. So, amen, I say to you, unless, and then ho, the definite article, it's the masculine singular nominative to go with kokos, which is from kokos. It's a word that means a grain or a seed. It's the nominative singular of this masculine noun. So a seed to the genitive singular, masculine article, a seed of the, and then sit to, from sitos, which means wheat. And so it's in the genitive, so a grain or a seed of wheat, unless a grain of wheat, peson. It's the masculine singular aorist participle. And so it's the idea, unless a grain of wheat falls, or falling is really the idea, it's a participle, falling. Ace, preposition, takes the accusative, tain, gain, accusative, singular, feminine, the gain, and this is from geis, the word geo comes in English from this, it means the earth. So unless a seed falling into the earth, and then apathane. This is the subjunctive that goes with Ian me up earlier. The subjunctive of apathnesko, I die. This is the third person singular aorist active subjunctive. And so unless a seed of grain falling into the ground dies, and then autos, this is the masculine singular pronoun, referring back to the seed of grain, so it's masculine, but we translated it. And so it itself, or it, monos, the word, of course, we get mono, different words that use that idea of being alone from this. This is a adjective, and so it's the singular, masculine adjective, it itself, alone. Mene remains, from meno, I remain, third person singular, present active indicative, so it remains alone. So unless a seed of grain falls into the ground, it's going to remain alone. It can sit there on top of your desk, for years on end, and nothing's going to happen to it. It's just going to sit there. But if it dies, so Ian, again, the same word as here, but if, and then this is, again, the very same word in the subjunctive, if it does die, referring, of course, to the decomposition that will ordinarily take place when a seed is put into the ground, just as the human body will tend to decay over time, as you're well aware. A seed goes through the same process, but if it dies, if it decays, if it disintegrates, as it were, then polun. This is an adjective. It means much or many, and in this case singular, much, carpone, fruit, and then fere, it bears, from pharaoh, I bring or I bear, third person singular, present active indicative. So much fruit it bears. So if it isn't put into the ground, if it isn't buried, if it doesn't die, in other words, then it's going to remain by itself, undeveloped, not any particular consequence flowing from it. But if it is buried, if it dies. Of course, all of this is an allusion to Jesus' own prospects now as he's looking forward in Holy Week to his own execution and indeed burial. And the metaphor is pretty evident and fairly dramatic that out of that there's going to be great fruit that will be derived.